The most important thing to land your first data analyst job fast is your portfolio. If you have a crappy portfolio, you are not going to get hired. Let me help you out. For context, I'm a senior data analyst with over 8 years of experience. Here are my tips when it comes to portfolios. Essentially, to have a good portfolio, you need to have good projects. A good project, in my opinion, should solve a business problem. I understand that not every project needs to have a purpose, and some projects you need to do just to learn. But saying that, the projects that really stand out is the ones that solve real life business problems. And those are the ones that are going to get you hired. You can get super technical and build a dashboard using everything under the sun, but at times those will get too complicated and recruiters will look at that and be like, this is too much. Your project should be clear on what the problem is and what you are trying to solve. This shows the recruiter and your future manager that you can think like a data analyst, because this is basically what data analysts do. We solve business problems. Let me play out a scenario so it makes a bit more sense. Imagine you were hired by Rick. Rick's a great guy. He owns a few bike stores around town, but he is losing money. If he doesn't make a change and make more revenue, he's going to go out of business. Rick hires you as a data analyst, and of course, we are happy to help. The first thing we do as a data analyst, this is very important by the way, is to ask what Rick's requirements are. The biggest mistake I see by far with data analysts is not gathering the requirements and just starting the work straight away. So we have a chat to Rick, we ask the questions, what do you need? Rick responds with, hey, I would like to know what my best products are. He wants to know what is the product with the most refunds. He wants to know what are his worst performing stores, and he wants the ability to track his sales to make sure that he can hit his monthly sales target. Now that we know the requirements, we are going to extract the data out of Rick's database. Specifically, we are going to use SQL to extract the data from the multiple tables. This is essentially what we do a lot as data analysts. We just use SQL to extract data out of multiple tables to get the correct output. By the way, you can go on Kaggle and download this dataset and practice for yourself. I'll leave a link in the description for you guys. Also, if you are an aspiring data analyst, make sure to download my free Path to Data Analyst kit. In there, I've set up a system where you can easily manage your projects so you can keep track of everything. There's also a note system, a study tracker, and a free resume template in there if you're interested. Link will also be in the description. Anyways, after you have extracted the data using SQL, we are going to use that data and put it into a dashboard for Rick to use. This way, Rick can always refer to the dashboard and doesn't need to bother us after this. Low-key, this is why data analysts build dashboards, because it's a self-service system. The stakeholder can just use the dashboard instead of bugging you for a report every day. So we've built this dashboard and it's going to contain information that's really going to help Rick out, like what his best products are. This will help Rick promote his best bikes at all of his stores. It will show the bikes with the most amount of refunds. So this will tell Rick that these bikes are crap, that he shouldn't buy these anymore because these bikes are losing him money. The dashboard will show his worst performing stores. So this will highlight some issues at specific places. Rick was able to identify this, fix this, and help improve his worst performing stores. And lastly, we built a KPI system so Rick can track his monthly sales target. So great job. We finished the dashboard. We extracted the data. Project done. That is incorrect. There's one last thing that we need to do, and that is documentation. So in our summary, we want to record and document everything, like what the requirements were. It's really important to jot down the requirements. So let's say, for example, Rick comes back 2 months later and says, hey, why don't I have this? As data analysts, we can just be like, hey, they weren't in the requirements. This is what you asked for. We'll also record our thought process on how we cleaned the data, how we transformed it to get the right output. This is really useful because another data analyst can continue your work and they can read your documentation, which makes it a lot easier. And the last thing we want to do is also document the impact that we made. For example, because of this dashboard, Rick was able to get good insights about his business and was able to increase his sales by 20%, which is a great result. So that is what makes a really good project. We were able to solve a real life business problem by helping Rick increase his sales. We were able to build a dashboard for him to use on a regular basis, and we documented everything as well just to make sure everything is aligned. So these projects make a big difference because it just shows that you can think like a data analyst. That's it for today. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.